has been established. The number is 508-924-5155. Again, the number is 508-924-5155. In the absence of Board Member Saron Ruiz, I'm going to ask Board Member LaSalle Frazier to make the announcement in Spanish. Por favor. Oh, she doesn't have it. Llame al. I'm not going to try to do that. Thank you, Board Member Ruiz.
Buenas noches, por favor. Este es un anuncio en español. Llame al 508-924-5155 para interpretación en español. Muchas gracias.
Repite, por favor.
El número a llamar es del 508-924-5155.
Gracias. Finally, for those who are unable to observe now, this meeting is being recorded and can be accessed for later viewing via the Prince George's County Public Schools YouTube channel. Now we will move to the board prayer and pledge of allegiance. And this evening, we will be honored to have one of our newest board members, Dr. Zipporah Miller, please lead us in the prayer and pledge of allegiance.
School Board Prayer. O God, we pray to administer that which is just in all educational policies, being ever mindful of your guidance, steer us to action with love, wisdom, and understanding. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and with liberty and justice for all. Now we will move to a point of personal privilege. First, I would like to take the opportunity to recommend Dr. Zipporah Miller to be a member of the Academic Achievement Committee. Per Board Policy 8100, each Board of Education Standing Committee must have at least 4 board members. With her recent appointment to the board, the Standing Committee will now have 5 members. I need a motion to approve this recommendation.
So moved.
Before we proceed with this, we will have a roll call. Ms. Ellis, please.
Mrs. Adam Stafford?
Aye.
It's present, or
Yes, present.
Ms. Boozer Strother?
Here.
Mr. Saron Ruiz?
Here.
Mrs. LaSalle Frazier?
Present.
Mr. Harris?
Present.
Mrs. Mickens Murray?
Present.
Dr. Z. Miller?
Present.
Mr. Murray? Mrs. Williams? Present. And Dr. Miller?
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. First, we will move into the adoption of the agenda for the May 12th, 2022 board work session.
I move that we accept the agenda for the May 12th, 2022 agenda.
Second.
It has been moved and second to adopt the agenda for May 12th, 2022 board work session. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The agenda is adopted. Now we will have approval of the board meeting minutes for April 28th, 2022. May I have a motion?
I move that we approve the board meeting minutes for April 28, 2000.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes are for the April 28, 2022 board meeting have been adopted. Next, we will move into the unsung partner. Colleagues, we will now recognize another unsung partner of Prince George's County by highlighting their accomplishments and triumphs achieved behind the spotlight. Today, our board member, LaSalle Frazier, will introduce the Unsung Partner awardee, who is a resident of District 8, the district at which she serves. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Known to us as Bill Taylor, Mr. William C. Taylor is the founder of the Coalition for Public Safety Training in Schools, Incorporated. Bill turned a lifelong commitment for the welfare of youth development and young adults by creating and establishing his nonprofit CPSTS in July 2014 to fill a gap between educating, training, and employing the young scholars in our county. CPSTS is an advocate for Prince George's County Public School students and graduates who are on the career path in the public safety sector. Professional firefighters, EMTs, police officers, correctional officers, and Homeland Security. By trade, Mr. Taylor is a certified masonry instructor to solidify his well-accomplished craft as a journeyman bricklayer. Bill is also a member of the Maryland Apprenticeship and Training Council. Prior to establishing CPSTS, our honoree spent 20 years educating high school and college students in the skills trade. Through his incessant commitment, dedication, leadership, and influential skills, Mr. Taylor has served on nonprofit boards and other entities focusing on community development. Bill Taylor has diligently served as a member of the Board of Directors for Southern Area Youth Services, Inc., the Foundation of Automotive and Construction Technology for PGPS students, the Prince George's County Workforce Services Corporation, and the committee member of the Work Study Initiative. Mr. Taylor was appointed by the governor in November 2003 to serve as the council chair for the state of Maryland, which he still serves to date, and in 2013 appointed to the Prince George's County Fire Commission by the county executive. Please join me in saluting Mr. William C. Taylor as this month's Prince George's County Board of Education Unsung Partner. Thank you.
Mr. Taylor.
Congratulations. Thank you for your dedicated, committed advocacy and service to the youth and young adults of Prince George's County Public Schools. Your perennial leadership as the founder of Coalition for Safety Training in Schools, your conduct, integrity, and strong advocacy for the family. Thank you.
I want to thank everybody on behalf of my distinguished board that allow school system also from the corporation, and we don't have to get into that now. But getting our message out to the community so we can enrich this community and uplift the children.
Again, we have a strong community because we have strong people working with us. With that, we will move now to appoint a personal privilege. I would like to recommend Dr. Zipporah Miller to be a member of the Academic Achievement Committee. Per Board Policy 8100, each Board of Education Standing Committee must have at least 4 board members. With her recent appointment to the board, the Standing Committee will now have 5 members. May I have a motion to approve this recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and the recommendation is approved. Our very own Pamela Boozer Strother, board member for District 3. Here's a moment of excitement for all of us. Was invited to attend a joint private roundtable with K-12 climate action commissioners, school leaders, implementation partners, and philanthropic leaders to discuss opportunities to work collaboratively to unlock the power of the education sector to advance climate action, solutions, and environmental justice in schools. The roundtable commenced on May 9th in conjunction with Aspen Ideas Climate, who recognized Ms. Boozer Strother's leadership with Prince George's County Public Schools, knowing her perspective and insights would be invaluable to the conversation. Aspen Ideas has been excited to see the ambitious work in Prince George's County Public Schools to develop a climate action plan and believe our school district, Prince George's County Public School District, can be elevated as a leader in the work ahead. Let's give our colleague a big round of applause of being a Prince George's proud leader. Are you excited? Yes, she's excited. Look at her. She's blushing. Again, on behalf of your colleagues and our CEO, thank you, Pam Boozer Struthers, because this is great, and I think this will bring us the goal next year, and I'm going to keep saying that until that goal is sitting on the test. Finally, I would like to remind the public this evening of this evening's work session will be the only meeting of the full board for this month of May. The May 26th board meeting has been canceled due to competing priorities for administration during the graduation season. Our next board meeting or board work session will commence on Thursday, June 9th, 2022 at 7 p.m. I will now give our board member, our District 4 board member, Ms. Shayla Adams Stafford, a point of personal privilege to make an announcement regarding the Parent Community Advisory Committee or Advisory Council. Ms. Adams Stafford, you have the floor for 3 minutes.
All right, thank you so much,
Chair Miller, and thank you also to all of my colleagues for supporting the revitalization of the Parent Community Advisory Committee. And so what I'm going to do this evening is just very briefly share what this committee's purpose is, what the Constitution will be, and then also sort of the steps that we're taking to revitalize this group this summer. So the purpose of this policy was to create an advisory committee to ensure that the board and CEO are informed by a variety of opinions from citizens and staff when considering specific issues, policies, activities, and programs. So the Parent Community Advisory Council will be made up of 15 members. 9 of those members are going to be representing the 9 elected Board of Education districts. 4 members will be representing the faith-based, nonprofit, community civic, labor union, and business sectors of Prince George's County. And those will be approved through a vote of the board. And then 2 of those members will be appointed representing school-level staff, faculty, and administration. And they will be appointed by a vote of the Board of Education from a list that will be submitted by the CEO. So just to let you know sort of our implementation plan, what we've been working on this since January, working on developing the application and ensuring that it is consistent with the policy and sort of the plans for the rollout. The application, we're hoping that it will be released to the public on June 1st, actually, so I want to make sure that we get this correct. It'll be released to the public on June 1st. And then the application deadline will be the 15th. And the application will be due to the board office, and the CEO liaison and the board office will compile that information for submission to the Board of Education. The application will be available on the board's website. Then after the 15th, in July, then the Board of Education will appoint members to the PCAC. Then in August, those PCAC members will be notified, and orientation will be provided, and a meeting schedule will be developed. And then in September, that will be our first official meeting of the PCAC. So again, thank you for this moment to just share, and I definitely am looking forward to this group coming together. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Adam Stafford. Were there any questions? Then we'll move on to item 2.8, outcomes and outputs for the Academic Achievement Committee. I yield the floor again to Board Member Shayla Adams Stafford to give the committee's outcomes and output report.
Thank you so much. So the Academic Achievement Committee has the following charge of overseeing on behalf of the board the development and implementation of the school system's academic programs, operations involving student affairs, and initiatives that are designed to ensure effective and timely parent-community engagement with the school system. Our portfolio includes issues including closing gaps in student achievement, performance, extracurricular activities, improving outcomes for low-performing schools among underserved populations, enhancing outcomes for high-performing schools and students, addressing issues involving academic and educational equity. Upon adoption of academic, extracurricular, parent, and community engagement policies by the Board of Education, the Academic Achievement Committee will monitor the implementation of these policies. And so the chair of this board or a designee should serve on the board's liaison to the Washington area boards of education. So on this committee, you have myself as committee chair, Joshua Thomas as committee vice chair, Alvaro Cerón Ruiz, our student member of the board, newly added Dr. Zipporah Miller, Curtis Valentine, board member Curtis Valentine, and Dr. Judith White, the chief academic officer. So our committee has met monthly, and we began meeting in September 2021, and our final meeting is scheduled for June 13th, 2022. The focus for this year was really thinking about literacy across all aspects of our school district, and then also considering special education. And so we looked at the following outputs: literacy for special education and special education baseline data, culturally responsiveness in the classroom, acceleration versus remediation, literacy in mathematics, an update on our CTE programs, literacy for English language learners. We looked into specialty programs in public charter schools, response to intervention and multi-tiered systems of support, positive behavioral interventions and support. We also looked at 504 plans, literacy within science and social studies, teacher and principal evaluations, and also teacher recruitment, and also principal rotation and leadership opportunities for staff. So our upcoming presentations will be on our Bridge to Excellence schools, following up from last year, community schools, family and community engagement. We'll have another update, a special education report, progress on our English language learning goals. And so we've spent a great deal of time focusing on the details about how our students can achieve and maintain academic excellence through our program and our offerings as a system. It was through these presentations and really robust discussions that we were able to unfold, uncover, and really discover the strategies, methodologies, and frameworks behind what truly makes our students holistically successful as we continue to work through the various avenues of implementation. In closing, I would like to thank the committee vice chair, my colleague Joshua M. Thomas, the committee members, the chief academic officer, Dr. Judy White, academic liaison Valerie Irving, and all of the staff for their positive, collaborative work ethic. And I really look forward to finishing the remainder of the year PGCPS strong. So thank you again.
Thank you, Board Member Adam Stafford. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, we will now move to item 3.0, public comment. Colleagues, there are no registered live public comment speakers this evening, so we will move right into 4.0, the work session. Dr. Golson, would you please introduce item 4.1 under the work session topic?
Thank you. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Christy Baldwin, our Chief of Human Resources, who will provide an overview of the work session topic, Human Resources. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. All right, Mr. Johnson.
Is your mic on?
I do. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Golson, Chair Miller, Vice Chair Williams, and members of the Board of Education for the opportunity to meet with you this evening for a work session on Prince George's County Public Schools Human Capital to discuss staffing, teacher data, recruitment, and hiring practices. Tonight, as we begin to look at where we are and where we're going, it is important to start with our why, and not just the why of human resources, but the why for us as a district. During the 2017-18 school year, the Board of Education sought to create a policy that ensured educational excellence for our students. From there, and through the leadership of Dr. Golson, our Prince George's County Public Schools strategic plan now is in full form life. That is something that we should celebrate because we actually developed a strategic plan in the midst of a pandemic. So tonight, as we begin to look at the human capital of Prince George's County Public Schools, we do this through the lens of knowing that we need people in order to work together to provide a transformative educational experience anchored in excellence and equity, developing 21st century competencies, and enabling each student's unique brilliance to flourish in order to build empowered communities and a more inclusive and just world, because it is our mission as Prince George's County Public Schools to be culturally responsive, developing distinguished learners, leaders, voices of social justice, and advocates for humanity for today, tomorrow, and beyond. As we work to achieve our mission and vision of Transformation 2026, we must have two things. Number one, a strategy, and number two, human capital. Our strategic plan encompasses 5 imperatives to which you reviewed 2 during the last work sessions: safe and supportive environments, and a glimpse, a very small glimpse, at the robust academic innovation offerings provided to our students. But tonight, we will begin to discuss the work of a transformational workforce and inhabiting the learning organizational culture we must become. Tonight's purpose is just to lay the foundation of understanding the workforce and the collective efforts we need to reflect and engage on to build a transformational workforce. I have the honor of leading the Division of Human Resources. This framework shows the full cycle of the Division of Human Resources within Prince George's County. Our Department of Operations and Staffing is responsible for recruitment and onboarding. Our offices of Employee Performance, Professional Learning and Leadership, Equity and Excellence, and Employee and Labor Relations are responsible for developing and retaining staff. It is a cycle of constant recruitment, hiring, and retention. Our accomplishments have included establishing standard operating procedures to guide our decision-making, updating administrative policies to ensure transparency for our staff in order to support our entire human capital workforce. We've developed a strategic recruitment and instructional staffing guide. We've piloted several programs, including increasing our Latinx pipeline and supporting our conditional educators. We have embraced becoming a learning organization, as evidenced by this year as our first year for implementing a professional growth evaluation system that is grounded not only in quantitative data, but qualitative data as well for our practitioners to reflect on their practices. We have continued the national excellence of our district's reputation for professional learning through our nationally board certified teacher program. Our induction mentorship, this is the first year where we have provided every new teacher a mentor. We've developed a professional learning framework and produce a professional learning catalog quarterly to ensure alignment to district practices and priorities. And we are in our second year of our Teacher Leadership Academy. And in July of this year, I am proud to say that our resident teacher program will now offer a certification in ESOL certification. I also have the wonderful privilege of leading the Office of Equity and Excellence, and in its second year, it has developed 2 years in a row system-wide professional development for every employee on equity and implicit bias training. No other district in the area has provided this opportunity to all of their employees. We have developed equity leads in more than half our schools, and we've collectively ensured equitable landscapes. We've partnered with Welcoming Schools to build supportive and safe environments for our LGBTQ+ community. And last, our Employee of Labor and Relation Office has truly transformed to create standard operating procedures that were not in existence prior to 2018. We have created appropriate professional development to support our staff to reduce the number of matters that can lead to separation. And we've created templates and process maps for our administrators and managers. In summary, these foundational practices have helped us to establish the much-needed foundation to build the house to support our employees in joining and staying with Prince George's County Public Schools, and for us to begin to develop and make data-driven decisions. So, who are our wonderful human capital? This chart right here shows you that our human capital broken down by bargaining units as well as our executive staff. You will often hear us say we have close to 20,000 employees, and that's because we have 2,000 temporary staff members that are not included in this chart. That number can change with any given year, but overall we come close to almost 20,000 employees. This particular chart shows our demographic data that we report according to the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And as evident in education, you will see that it is dominated by our female staff. And we also have 67% of our staff are African American. And we are slowly but surely increasing our number of Latinx or Hispanic staff members. So now on to staffing. It is important to understand our staffing calendar in public education. Our staffing calendar actually occurs in 2 phases, so ultimately we actually run 2 HR departments. We recruit and hire January through December for all positions, but our largest efforts occur January through August with the critical hiring of teachers and administrators. This is important in relationship to our specific employees, which are our teachers, who we hire seasonally due to the nature of their position. The primary time to hire teachers nationally is upon completion of their teacher preparation programs, which start now. Because we were able to develop a strategic staffing guide that we use every year, we are now able to present to the Board of Education trend data through our strategic plan. We can forecast our projected vacancies based on current vacancies, retirement, resignations, and annual trend data. As you can see, we are anticipating the need to fill close to 1,900 positions overall. But let's keep that in perspective of a school district that has over 18,000 employees. While all school districts gain a lot of media attention for the fill rate of teaching populations, we must ensure that we take a bigger picture of all the positions we must staff to make the school system work. As you can see, our largest number of support positions is the largest area that we have to staff for. But you would also see that we are able every year to at least fill more than 85% of our positions. And by support, we're referring to maintenance, custodians, central office, and other positions that support our schoolhouse. Nationally, Prince George's County Public Schools is no different from any other school district in America, and the challenges that all of us are facing in K-12 education. Not one of my colleagues nationally is not sitting before the Board of Education talking about the hard-to-staff positions. Our teachers, bus drivers, food services, nurses, and those positions we compete with in the private industry. Our teaching population, unfortunately, is declining, and it's declining rapidly because of the number of individuals interested in teaching. Our bus drivers and food services, due to the non-traditional work hours, consistently recreates challenges every year. And those positions to which we compete with private industries can be a challenge because of the nature of the private industry sector. So we're talking about our nurses, our IT professionals, and business management professionals. Again, of our hard-to-staff positions that directly support our students, these are our projections for the 22-23 school year. It is our goal, of course, to fill all of these, and through trend data, we are always able to fill more than half of our projections. Now to our largest population, which remains our teachers. This slide outlines our demographic data in relationship to the other larger school districts in Maryland. Yearly, around October, Maryland publishes staff statistics, and this highlights our diversity compared to our other counterparts. The Latinx population is significantly small throughout the state of Maryland, and therefore the state incorporates those numbers into the category of other. However, working with our accountability department, we were able to pull out the specific numbers in comparison to our counterparts. And I am proud to say that we have, since 2018, increased, unfortunately only by 2%, but we have increased and grown in our Latinx population, and we continue to work to increase that population through various efforts. This is a very important slide because, unfortunately, you will hear consistently that we are losing staff. However, these data points show a very different yet interesting narrative about our teachers. Our teacher retention rate remain above 80%. However, it is really our attrition and turnover rate that we should focus on. Attrition, or those we call our leavers, are the number of teachers who separate from Prince George's County Public Schools for any reason, including retirement, voluntary resignation, or involuntary reasons. Our first year, it was twice the national average, which is 8%. And this unfortunately was attributed to certification issues. Our second and third year, the numbers even out to be more consistent with the national average. Our turnover, on the other hand, are the number of staff who leave a specific school for any reason, including promotions or transfers. When you include attrition with turnover, our total numbers are reflected to be consistent with the national average of 16%, with the 2018-19 school year being not within the national average, but you can see that we have evened out. When I referenced previously about unfortunately losing teachers to certification, it is important to understand the teacher certification requirements of Maryland. There are 3 types of certification a teacher may possess: a professional certificate, a conditional, and a resident. The professional certificate, of course, is what we want our teachers to possess. However, there are other certifications for those pursuing education: conditional and resident certifications. The conditional certificate provides more flexibility to our staff in following a program of study needed to obtain a professional certificate without the pressure of taking the praxis, which is the national teacher exam, upon entry into the workforce. The resident teacher certificate program, however, does require that an individual pass the praxis before entering the resident program. While you will hear that Prince George's County Public Schools has the highest number of conditional educators in the state, it is important to look at the picture as a whole. 85% of our teachers hold a professional certificate. While the nation continues to see a significant growing gap between an increasing demand for K-12 teachers compared to a declining supply and demand from our teacher preparation program, Prince George's County Public Schools has tapped into a resource that other districts are now pursuing to continue to fill vacancies through hiring professionals who are changing careers. Because unfortunately, we are no longer able to solely depend on our institutions of higher education. To look deeper into our conditional educator licensure requirements, there are 3 buckets in which they can fall in. The first one is that we can onboard an individual from another career path who only needs to take the teacher exams, which are the praxis. They also fall into another bucket where they can pass the praxis, but they need the coursework. Or they can fall into a third bucket, which is the praxis and coursework. I'm grateful for the opportunity that this board gave to us back in, I believe it was during the 2019-2020 school year, where funds were allocated to support our conditional educators with taking classes. So PGCPS actually pays up to 12 credit hours for our conditional educators free of charge, as well as we provide many of the courses here within Prince George's County, and we partner with Prince George's County Community College to offer the methodology classes. As you can see, our first cohort was pretty large. That was a cohort of 2 years in a row. And right now, as you can see, unfortunately, in spite of the efforts, we have not seen a lot of our individuals take advantage of the opportunity. But we attribute that due to the pandemic and many people having to take classes on the weekend or after school, it has become a lot for them. So now on to our recruitment and hiring. While we know the landscape of the profession is changing, particularly as the manifestation of the pandemic, we still get excited about teacher recruitment and hiring. This is our favorite and busiest time of the year. 3 years ago, I am proud to say I'll never forget that Vice Chair Williams said she wanted a strategic plan, and ever since then, we have been delivering year after year. The most recent plan has been more of a fluid document than in previous years due to the pandemic and the need to change our ways for recruitment. However, we are still on target to provide a new plan by January of 2023. And in this guide, that you have before you, everyone has it in front of them, that you will find your own copy, and it includes our plan, our recruitment events, trend data, and strategies. Tonight, we will dig a little bit deep into the plan through these slides for follow-up questions. In our plan, you will see our fill rates when we break down the fill rates for teachers by levels. You will see a decline when broken down by the levels, which is consistent with national and local data. Schools nationally are having a hard time filling vacancies due to turnover and attrition and student enrollment. 3 years ago, we talked about a national teacher shortage, and unfortunately, an enormous amount of data has been published that now we are looking at a landscape of a crisis in an era known as the Great Resignation. As you can see from this chart, our most challenging level of course to fill is our secondary due to content areas specific classes. However, you will also see that our charter numbers are slightly higher, but I want to keep that in perspective because they have less teachers in their schools when you compare them to our comprehensive elementary, middle, and high. This year, Hanover Research published research on what are the best practices in K-12 human resources, and I am proud to say that Prince George's County Public School exceeds them all. While we maintain our traditional recruitment calendar, you will see most, if not all, of our hiring events are virtual, which aligns with the recommendation of virtual recruitment events. One thing about our calendar is that we evaluate our efforts every year by our data metrics to see where we are attracting our candidates, are we yielding results that would have us to continue to go to those events, and then we add new events. You will also see from our strategic plan that we start recruitment trips as early as September. But now our non-traditional, that's what really gets us excited. One is our Teach With Us campaign. You will see that in our Zoom backgrounds, on social media, on posters and flyers. We have specialty events for our Bridge to Excellence and priority schools. And last year, we were the only ones in the area to start what we called drive-through hiring events. This was our way to get back to face-to-face interaction with individuals, but also maintaining social distance. And this year, we're going to start our hiring mixers with outdoor network and recruitment events for teachers and principals. We also leverage two platforms, one which is called Handshake. It's an online recruitment platform that actually gives us direct access to college students, including our HBCUs and our Hispanic serving institutions. And through these opportunities, we can send them emails, we can send them flyers, we can send them all sorts of things to say, come teach with us. We also partnered and have a platform called Career Fair Plus. Previously, before the pandemic, we would set up at one of our high schools. Our principals would come, decorate their tables, and our candidates would come. Well, through the Career Fair Plus, we've recreated that platform where each school can actually design videos and other interesting facts about their school, and then candidates can go and look at the videos about each of the schools and decide that, hey, I want to interview at that school. We also have strengthened our partnership with academics, the CTE program. We recently had a Workforce Ready showcase where we celebrated our exceptional CTE students that are looking to pursue careers in education. And of course, we have our Grow Your Own programs, and we are getting ready to start a new diversity series. We're going to have a Latinx teacher talk, we're going to have a Men Make a Difference talk, and we're going to have an International Teacher Network event. When we talk about leveraging our networks, we have several Grow Your Own programs. We have our paraprofessional to assistant Grow Your Own program. We have our substitute teacher Grow Your Own program. We even have student-centered program. The Academy of Health Science is in, this year they will graduate their second class of individuals who are pursuing teaching as an option, and this year class will have 52 students who are pursuing the profession of teaching. Our Teacher Academy of Maryland is a statewide program designed for our students who want to explore a career in elementary, middle, and high school. And with that, it's located at 4 of our high schools. We have 150 students pursuing teaching, and 48 will be graduating this year. We have our resident teacher program through, as I shared with you earlier, we will be starting our ESOL certification in July. We offer elementary certification. We also partner with Notre Dame to offer special education certification. And again, we are the only LEA in Maryland that has its own resident teacher program. With all these wonderful things, our greatest and biggest strategy for recruitment is our employees, which we have branded as our brand ambassadors. Our brand ambassadors, this is where we need everyone. This is, research shows, the best recruitment strategy to gain other employees to come and join. It is dependent upon each of us to give and know our elevator speech of joining Prince George's County Public Schools. I ask you this evening, are you able to share the innovative and outstanding professional learning opportunities that we offer to our staff? Do you know about our national board rankings, our national board certification ranking? Can you speak to the amazing classroom innovation and opportunities that's available to our students? And did you know that we offer more supplemental pay opportunities for teachers than any other district in the area? But right now, the best brand ambassadors are the ones that are doing the work. So I would like to highlight and let you hear from our brand ambassador at Greenbelt Middle School.
Well, hello. My name is Marcellus Clement, and I'm the proud principal here at Greenbelt Middle School. And you see how we're shooting this? We're not shooting this outside or on random cameras or a random phone. This is in our TV studio. So this is the type of atmosphere you would have if you would come to Greenbelt Middle School. We have so many diverse opportunities and different programs for students, from our TAG program, Chinese immersion, our special education, and even for our non-diploma track with our CRR students, we definitely have an ample amount of things that we can do to serve our students to make sure they are successful. So if you're interested in teaching, come speak with me, Marcellus Clement, your principal here at Greenbelt Middle School, because we can definitely provide an opportunity for you to lead and to help support our children to be the best that they can be. Thank you, and I hope to hear from you soon.
So these are the type of videos that we're asking our principals to make when we get excited about Chinese immersion, Spanish immersion, French immersion, Montessori. But what also excites us is our National Board Certification Program. Recently, we just held our annual event where we celebrated our new nationally board certified teachers and those renewing their certification. And Peggy Brookins, the president and CEO of the National Board of Professional Teaching and Standard, highlighted some of the great things that we don't often talk about. We rank 5th in the nation on the number of new nationally board certified teachers of color. We also are the 7th in the country of any district of the highest number of nationally board certified teachers. Currently, we have 478, and we have 441 teachers currently pursuing national board certification. We also have our PGCPS perks, where we feature discounts on groceries, entertainment, home goods, restaurants, hotels, and over 100 local businesses and national retailers. And I'm also proud that we partnered with Landing, an organization designed to assist employees in managing one of the biggest challenges they face outside of work: finding affordable housing. Landing offers up to $80,000 in a down payment towards buying a home, and you do not have to be a first-time home buyer. All you need, and you don't have any income restrictions, and this is open to all of our employees. And within the last week, we've started partnering with Prince George's County and their program on the pathway to purchase a home, which currently supports a down payment for up to $10,000. So, we need you. You each have your boxes in front of you with your PGCPS swag. You have your recruitment plan, and this is where we need you to join us in becoming brand ambassadors. We have to get back to being excited about teaching, exciting about building up our students to become global citizens. Unfortunately, one of the most hurtful things I heard this year from a principal that said, Dr. Murphy, I'm working really hard to build culture and recruit for my school. But when we don't talk well about ourselves and when we don't celebrate ourselves, then that defeats every effort that each principal works towards when they try to recruit people to come and join Prince George's County Public Schools. So the question I present tonight in this work session is the question on our narrative. Will we continue to perpetuate what we don't have, or will we transform to talk about what we do have? Yes, we can always do better, but let's celebrate the number of teachers we do retain, and let's plan for how to increase that number. Let's celebrate that 85% of our teachers do hold a professional certificate, and let's plan how to advocate to possibly change certification requirements to get more people from other professions like engineering and music to come and want to teach. This year, we begin that Transformation 2026. And as we all know, transformation starts with a specific quote, that it's the renewing of your mind. So tonight, as we ask our questions, let's renew our mind, let's renew our focus. We have a journey ahead of us in the midst of a pandemic leaving us, maybe leaving us now, and knowing that there's a teacher crisis amongst us. Your presence on social media, your influence in education, the ability to share the good news about teaching careers is part of being a brand ambassador. So we ask for everyone's collective effort in continuing to promote PGCPS through recruitment events, through our Teach With Us campaign, through knowing what makes us great, but most of all, knowing what makes us, PGCPS, proud. That concludes my presentation, and I now open the floor for questions.
Very good. That was outstanding, outstanding. Before I take any other board members, I'd just like to say as an educator, I'm excited. Even though I'm retired, I heard that affordable housing, I've heard about staff development, I've heard about national certification. I'm excited, and I hope everyone else who hears or sees this presentation gets just as excited. Two of my colleagues, two in education. Dr. Z. Miller and Mrs. Adam Stafford are educators by profession, and I'm just over. This is beautiful. One question. It's a good question. When people who come from other professions, for instance, if we wanted to recruit a smart engineer such as Mr. Harris to be a teacher, to teach engineering, what would motivate him to leave his current employer to come and work with our students?
130,000 amazing children. That gratification you get with working with our children every single day and knowing that you can change the landscape of the next generation that will, I would say, take care of us, is what I would ask that you reconsider to come and join Prince George's County Public Schools and the teaching field.
Now, would he be required to take that praxis and have to take the educational courses, because that sometimes can be a deterrent? But to pull him in for that first 2 years, what incentives are available to keep him?
Well,
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm just trying to get people to understand we need that kind of expertise, and we want to do everything possible to get them on our roles.
No, it's not a question that's on the spot. It's the question that I asked of everybody as they think about their elevator speech. And so those are the things that I shared, our PGCPS perks, the ability to join the National Certification Program, the supplemental pay opportunities that we have for our teacher. Through our budget session, we have put in requests to increase compensation for certain positions. So we're constantly looking at where we are in the market and bringing those things to pass. But in regards to certification, I want to go back to our Conditional Educator program. You all are key in providing that funding for us to actually pay so that Mr. Harris, should he choose to come and join us, and yes, he would have to take the classes, and yes, he would have to pass the praxis, but we do offer free praxis prep, as well as we do pay for those first 2 years to earn that certification.
Thank you. Next would be Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you, and thank you for that presentation. The human capital is the most important asset that we have in the school system. Next to our students, the people that we put in front of them every day is vitally important for their academic success. And so when you were talking about the role that you all play in this recruitment and how you get in front of them, there were a couple of things that sort of stood out. When you talked about the entire staffing that we bring on board, you mentioned that for buses, bus drivers, nurses, and another group, we always have a certain number of vacancies each year. Do we supplement those with either contracting positions or temporary positions? How do we fill that gap until we can acquire permanent positions?
So we have most recently this year looked at other opportunities where we could pair those positions. The schedules don't often work out that way, but we are going to look to continue on ways in which we can match those positions up because of, as I said, the scheduling is often a challenge.
And you mentioned in these positions in particular, bus drivers and nurses, we are in competition, not just with other schools, but other professions. And so some of the things I think you sort of answered, some of the perks that we offer is a good opportunity to recruit some of those folks. You mentioned that when we're looking at the teachers' positions, that we have sort of balanced out or we're evening out in the retention and keeping the turnovers. What would you say is the reason for that compared to 2018-19 and then 2 years that followed? How did we even that out?
So one of the things that I definitely want to highlight is the way in which our leadership handled the pandemic. The opportunities that we provided really helped create a stable foundation for people to know what. I'd have to say, and I know she doesn't like to be put on the spot, but Dr. Golson was always ahead of everything. Our staff never had to wonder, well, what were things going to be like? With the teletown halls, with the communication protocols, she was always ahead of things, and I think that brought a level of safety in a time where we all felt unsafe. In regards to the other things that I think, the Conditional Educator program, again, while 85% of our teachers are certified, we do have a pocket that's not. And I think through the offerings that we provided, as well as being able to provide every new teacher mentor support, we have this one thing where, and I know the mentors are going to get on me, but it's an early morning check-in where virtually they go and they check in with each one of their brand new teachers, motivate them, say, what do you need? I'm here to support you. So being able to provide each new teacher a mentor teacher, I think that has been helpful. But again, we also provide supplemental pay opportunities in various forms in order to continue to recruit and retain our staff.
And, you know, that mentor teacher program for the new teachers, I think that has been a phenomenal program. I think it's been, 3 or 5 years that we've been working on that now?
It's been about 5 years, but recently, as I shared, we've been able to increase the number of mentor teachers so that we are now able to make sure that every new teacher has a mentor teacher.
And moving on to another topic, the data that you showed in regards to the demographics of our teachers and our staffing. I think that is an amazing chart. What I would like to see in the future is sort of an overlay of that compared to our student population. Because we have seen an increase in our Latin American community and our population for African American educators it basically mirrors our demographics for the students. So that other demographics, I think, we can sort of see where we're sort of out of alignment and sort of move in that direction. And so the other data point that you showed about the number of teachers that we have with the ones that are certified and non-certified and all that, I think that really dispelled the myth out there that we have so many teachers that are not certified and so many teachers that are leaving over time. That data point is really important, I think, to continue to show. And I'll have other comments for my next round. Thank you.
Board Member LaSalle Frazier, please. You are next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for that wonderful presentation, Dr. Murphy. I am excited for you because your excitement just exudes as you speak, so thank you for that. Very interested in learning more about, so I was doing a little bit of math. We have 5% Latinx teachers, but we have 36.5% of Latinx students. So that's about 46,800 students and about 929 teachers, more or less, right? I'm trying to figure out, beyond the teachers, which we know we have to work on increasing that, what is the percentage of other staff that are there to support our Latinx community beyond the teaching staff?
Those numbers actually are small. As you saw in our demographics, we only have 6% Latinx staff overall. So the numbers are small, with most of our staff being the teaching force. The efforts that we have put in over the last few years, we were actually one of the first counties to consistently go to Puerto Rico at least 3 times a year to do recruitments. The year of the pandemic, it was the 2019 school year, we actually spent a significant amount of time in Texas, working with the University of Texas system to try to recruit more Latinx educators and staff. One of the challenges, while we encountered almost 300 individuals, the one thing that they all asked was about affordable housing and how to move up here. And that's when I had the opportunity to meet with various board members to try to partner with how do we build more affordable housing for individuals who may come from other states. Those efforts, I have to say, was during the 1920 school year, so they did stop because that was also when the pandemic. But we plan to try to continue to look at our Hispanic serving institutions. But again, our higher ed is not producing the same amount of teachers as they used to. So we do have to figure out other alternative means. Understanding that certification is always going to be probably one of our biggest challenges unless we try to figure out a different way to collectively come together and advocate for changes in certification.
And then can you share with me what are the numbers of teachers that are leaving the school system that are Latinx? So are we able to retain our teachers, or are they leaving for other school districts? What's the data on that?
So I think your first question was, are we looking at those who leave the school district? Are we looking at them by race? And no, we have not looked at that. We look at it as a whole. The reasons, we do track reasons for when individuals leave, and a lot of times it is for the code that they will use is for personal reasons. Okay.
And one more question. In terms of Latinx administrators, how many do we have in the county?
We have an extremely small number. I'd have to say, I don't have the percentage, but I have to say it's probably maybe 10.
10 total administrators, that includes assistant principals and principals?
Yes, our numbers are low. And during the 1920 school year, I actually facilitated an opportunity to engage our Latinx educators to say, why aren't you applying for assistant principal or principal opportunities? And it was back in the day when we all could get together and meet at Panera. And, they shared with me some great stories and shared a lot of times that they just didn't know. And so we started a Latinx Leadership Academy. But unfortunately, we ran into the pandemic and we were not able to continue a lot of the work that we had started, but we are looking to revitalize that. And we are excited for anyone who wants to partner with us to increase the number of administrators in that pool.
And then one last question. Within your department, how many of the recruiters or of HR staff are Latinx?
I do not at this time have anyone who has self-identified as Hispanic or Latinx.
Okay, I would encourage that simply because being from a very tight-knit culture, it really helps for us to be able to see others in leadership roles. It is the reason why I'm sitting here in front of you today. I believe that representation is very important, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Frazier. Board Member Zipporah Miller, please.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Dr. Murphy, for that comprehensive overview of your plan, strategic plan, and accomplishments. And we hear you when you say we are in a crisis. This started pre-pandemic, and it's gotten worse, and we're there. However, as you talked about, brand ambassadors and us changing our narrative, I'd like to just say, we take that charge, and I ask if my colleagues would take that charge of us just looking at our narrative and really what are we saying in order to the people that we influence to ensure that we're bringing them into the great Prince George's County Public Schools. I also concur, one day I'm watching TV during the pandemic and I see drive-through recruitment. That's way ahead of the curve, right? So you've thought really out of the box. So I commend your team for doing that. I noticed that on the plan, you talked about an international network. And I wondered whether the international network was international individuals within the U.S., or is this going out to recruit outside the U.S.?
So we really focused on our teachers within. We have teachers from all over the world who actually live and work in Prince George's County. So building a network for them, I totally agree with Board Member Frazier, because we all know about what research says about what we feel when we see our own. So we are trying our best to create more professional learning communities of our international teachers so that they have each other and they can talk about the things that we need to hear to recruit more teachers from international areas.
Thank you. And just would they be a consideration, and this is not something you need to answer right now, to recruit teachers or outside of the U.S., or do our policies impede you from doing that because they need to get an H-1B, they need to, is it something that we need to consider as we look at our policies if you want to start looking outside the box?
Yes, currently we do not do visa sponsorships, but we do the J-1 visa, which is a program through the state of Maryland. So we do have international teachers who are here through a J-1 visa.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? Board Member Mickens-Murray.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate your presentation. So my questions are really to educate myself.
Yes, ma'am.
Of what I understand, so that I can go out and be this ambassador that you want me to be.
Thank you.
With the recruiting, do we pay for uncertified teachers to become certified? And if we do, which I think you said, what are the requirements that do we have around that? Mm-hmm. Or do we just give it away to prospective teachers and then they get educated, get the credentials, and then go somewhere else?
Very good question. So that is, yes, we do pay for individuals who do not hold a certification to become certified. And we do have an MOU with those individuals to make sure that our investment does not just walk away.
Okay, so just let's peel back that a little bit. Are we requiring them to teach so many years, or just give me some insight into what that condition is or what it looks like?
I do believe, and I can also do a follow-up to be the specific number, but I want to say we do require that you stay with us for at least 3 years.
Okay, that's fine, appreciate it. My second question is, I thought I heard that the recruits get to choose the school they work at. They get to choose?
The applicants?
The applicants, right.
So with our Career Fair Plus, we open up our platform and we have all of our schools, and then our applicants are able to look at the various schools, and each school we ask that they have a video, they have information on what they are looking for, and our applicants are able to go and select the various schools in which they would want to interview with. They sign up. That's very similar to pre-pandemic when we used to be at a high school and all of our principals would have wonderful tables. They would decorate their tables and the candidates would come through, and then they could go to various tables and meet the principals and possibly interview with schools that are of interest to them.
My concern is, how do you balance the uncertified teachers, certified teachers, against the students that are economically, socially challenged, if the applicants choose their schools?
That is a wonderful question that I just had a very long discussion about with today. So we as a district have an option of going out and recruiting individuals and saying, you now offering a contract and say you work for Prince George's County Public Schools, period. And then we will decide where you go.
So this is new?
No, well,
No, it's not.
just let me finish.
Okay.
So that is a way to recruit and onboard teachers. However, you do take the risk to say, I'm going to place you here, and they will say, no, thank you, and they have another place to go. One of the things that we have to remember is that we compete with other localities that are actually in the top 20 largest school districts in the country. So we are not like maybe a Miami-Dade County where they are the largest district. So if you don't want to teach there, then I don't know where you're going to teach. So because of where we are located geographically, we really try to give individuals, like we actually are more hand-holding and saying, what are your choices? How can we meet your needs? It's about taking a risk. And if that's the risk that we want to take, I think that that's a discussion that we can say, this is where you're going to go, and then they not want to go there, and then they leave.
I hear you, and I appreciate that, but I also know you manage expectations, and I also know with the blueprint that's coming into Prince George's County, we need to ensure that we get quality teachers balanced across this county. So I won't dictate how that happens, but I would appreciate your coming back to this board and helping us to understand how you would do that.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Member Mickens-Murray, I'm going to inject, from having worked in this school district and another school district, I can clearly give you what happens. And some of this is not, we have no control over, just as Ms. Baldwin. Is that her name?
You got it right.
Okay. Ms. Baldwin just indicated, those are some very good questions, but I'm sure our administrator from another school district can share with you some of the, the things that happen in terms of recruitment and retaining personnel. I was glad to hear, Mrs. Baldwin, that we now, or Dr. Baldwin, that we now require 3 years of commitment, because at one time there was not that, quote, commitment, and we were losing excellent personnel to other local jurisdictions. So that was something good, but I had to inject that. But I'll be glad to sit down with you,
I appreciate that.
Madam colleague,
Yes.
to share with you some insight, having been in the trenches, as we would say.
But
But-
may I offer just a
Sure.
little bit of insight from my past experience on the Prince George's County School Board. One of the things we raised a decade ago was putting conditions around the teachers that we help to certify or get those credentials for them to teach. All I am saying now is it's time to think outside that box and figure it out how we can lead this, hiring teachers and balancing it across the district so that children don't suffer because people don't want to teach in a certain community. That's all I'm saying. So it's not a debate, it's just a thought process. And all I'm asking is, you guys think about it and then come back and share. That's it.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Saron Ruiz.
Thank you, Dr. Baldwin, for the amazing presentation and for your recruiting efforts, especially when it comes to the Latinx staff members. I do recognize that there is hardships, not just in the field of education, but also even in this board. Not too long ago, I was the only Latino representation for this Board of Education. And so I do understand that there is hardships in terms of getting Latinx representation, and do commend your efforts in getting more educators, and have to second Board Member LaSalle Frazier and the importance of having someone who looks like you, especially in leadership roles. And so I really do hope we're able to restart the Latinx Leadership Academy. The question I did want to point out, I know when you talked about the 3-year accomplishments, you brought up having ESOL certification for the resident teacher program, I think starting this July. And I just want to say that's truly amazing. I always hear from ESOL students about the hardships in terms of adjusting to all their classes, because though their core classes may have teachers that are certified, they still have to go to their electives, and their electives may have a teacher who's not certified in ESOL teaching. And so they always will find that disparity. And so my question was regarding ESOL certification to all of our teachers and staff members, and if any efforts around that.
We have not, this is our first year to actually offer a certification program for ESOL. We have not made it a requirement that our teachers hold ESOL certification, but we are working with our Division of Academics to offer more professional learning opportunities regarding the pedagogy for supporting our students in our English as a second language classes. Oh, you want to jump in?
I just wanted to add that certification requirements would come from the state.
Thank you, that's all.
Thank you. Board Member Harris.
Hey, good evening, Dr. Bowe. Thank you for the presentation. My questions come directly from slide 17, if you want to follow along with me here. Speaking specifically to retention rate, turnover, and attrition. In the year 2018 to 2019, like you said, the stats were, I don't want to call it displeasing, but like you said, it's about double the national average of 16%. And then coming around to the 2019-2020 year, you see that you cut that in half, which is great to see. Now, moving on to the 2020-2021 school year, and coming off of the strong year where a lot of your stats went down or kind of at those pleasing metrics, are we attributing the not reverse progress, but the additional increase in percentage, are we attributing that to the pandemic, or like you said, the disinterest in teaching that we're seeing on a national level?
It's actually a combination. both, but they really are one.
Okay.
The opportunities, I think it was in November, and it continues to be published. The Department of Labor has said there are now over 11 million job opportunities available to individuals, and also people through the pandemic realize what's important to them and where they want to spend their energy. So individuals we are in the midst of a great resignation. One of the things that I think we as and even my counterparts in Maryland, D.C., and Virginia that we take for granted is being in the nation's capital with the federal government.
Right.
When you talk about the teaching population, you're talking about individuals who hold degrees. So if we are now at a place where there are 11 million job opportunities available, and you're talking about individuals who actually hold a degree, the world has really opened up to them. And so, again, a lot of it also has to do with the pandemic.
Okay. And jumping over to the strategic plan, specifically pages 35, 36, and 37, do you have plans to continue the virtual hiring events?
We do.
Okay.
But we also are doing things like we're going to start a mixer this year,
Yeah.
the drive-through events. We actually have started doing drive-through hiring events for our bus drivers.
Yeah.
Again, we'll slowly have to just reevaluate where we are as we engage in large crowd events, but they have seemed to work for us.
Okay. And I just asked because I want to give kudos where they're due. Obviously, just looking at the metrics from the number of folks that attended the event versus the number that were hired or kind of the qualified candidates, you can see from the virtual events, comparing it to the in-person events from other years, you're seeing you're doing just as well in some of these events in terms of virtual hiring, and sometimes candidates need you to meet them there. So that's just me giving you kudos in that area and asking if you will be continuing that moving forward. But thank you for answering my other question.
Thank you for the kudos.
Yeah.
Board members Adam Stafford.
All right, thank you so much, and great presentation, Dr. Murphy Baldwin. I always say after her presentations, they recently gave one to academic achievement. They make me want to go back into the classroom. So if you need some history teachers, I might have to come help out for a few days. But I really do appreciate just really the robustness of the presentation and all of the innovative things that you all are doing with your small but mighty group, which is something to note. So I do appreciate that. So I have a couple of questions here. One thing, we talked about has been sort of the state level requirements and this concept that, while we're facing this national shortage of educators, we as a state have increased the demand on teachers, which is really interesting because Maryland has some of the most rigorous standards for anyone to become a teacher. And so one of my questions to you is, what do you feel we can do to advocate as a board just about the burdens and challenges that faces, particularly for us being a school district with majority BIPOC teachers, people of color? So what are some of your thoughts on that?
And only because Board Member Adam Stafford is aware through the academic achievement, I will share with others that Maryland does have one of the most strenuous certification requirements in the area. Maryland, which is very interesting because Maryland imports 68% of their educators. So we're not a state that produces educators. We need educators to come from other states, but yet we have some of the most strenuous requirements. And if I could have my way, I've taken the opportunity over the pandemic to actually take virtual classes with our conditional educators, and I have to say it was a lot. It was a lot. One, I was just proud that my teacher was one of our mentor teachers, so I think I made her a little bit nervous being in her class. But what I'm learning and what I saw from our conditional educators and what I do hear from some of our principals is that they are phenomenal. And to know that they have to pass a test rather than maybe doing, what if they had 2 years of effective evaluations?
Portfolio.
Why can't that take down some of the requirements. I understand that, yes, you're talking to someone who has a master's degree in special education. I am a former special education teacher, so I understand the importance of knowing pedagogy and knowing differentiated instruction, and we provide that through professional learning. Now, do you need an actual 3-credit class to do that? What if I've spent 3 years teaching? You're actually in your practicum when you're doing that. And because we provide each teacher with a mentor teacher, they have someone who's teaching, who's helping them. So why is it that we still require in the 21st century where we're not producing teachers to have courses? Why not use those years of experience and have maybe an LEA validate that?
And just because I only have a minute and a half left,
sorry.
I want to say to my colleagues, I think this is an area where we can really do a lot of advocacy, where we can say, to our state representatives and our state representatives to the board, having teachers, particularly teachers of color and teachers coming from a low-income background, spend money on a course, a college-level course. That places an undue financial burden and hardship on many people and is a barrier to us getting those certified teachers. So I think that this is an area that we can definitely advocate for thinking about, rethinking those requirements. Thank you so much for that. I wanted to also ask, have we ever leveraged the SYEP program to get some of our students directly into being paraprofessionals? So what I see is that, we have our great paraprofessional program that takes folks to being a paraprofessional to being a teacher. What I'm seeing as a gap as for communities like think about our Latinx community, there needs to be kind of a bridge to the paraprofessional program. And that's something that I've talked about on this board, a lot over the last year and a half. How can we provide that bridge, maybe through programs like SYEP, to give kids their first job out of high school with PGCPS, right? And give them that exposure to working directly in classrooms.
So with the SYEP program, I will have to go back and look at our numbers. Of course, it is a summer program, and it's students starting at the age of, can I finish? 14 through 21. We have not considered that, but that's not something that I'm opposed to looking at this year as we look at our data for the number of students that will come to Prince George's County Public Schools as our employees.
Yeah, because their first job could be at PGCPS after they graduate high school. And that could be part of our Grow Your Own program that we're already initiating.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted to add one thing about professional development. We also have, and I didn't know that you were special ed, so I appreciate. We also have a category of paraprofessionals who are in our system, and some, especially addressing our language as a second. ESOL. So we are working with that population. At one time, when I was working in the system, we did have a population of teachers that came from another country. And I heard you say we no longer give visas. Well, the visas we give are
we do a
J1, yes.
visa.
But I'm just saying that we have a lot of opportunities out there to recruit personnel like that. And I agree with being able to look at people who bring experience and giving them certification to work in certain areas, especially with our foreign language issues. So next, I don't want to, let's see, Boozer Struther.
Thank you, Chair Miller. Thank you so much for the great presentation. I wanted to just talk about hiring fair partnerships. Our municipalities, our council members and mayors, they hear as much as we do as board members about parent concerns about shortages of nurses in their boundary school, and of course bus driver shortages and teacher shortages, and they have expressed that they would like to be hiring sites for PGCPS.
Okay.
And I wanted to bring that forward as council members and mayors have a reach into community in a different way where they know residents, and they may know residents, say someone who is in nursing but took time off, may want to come back, and others who are seeking employment that I think could be a different avenue of recruitment, that connection. And I certainly know some larger municipalities like City of Hyattsville and College Park have expressed interest, and I think something also unique to the community, particularly College Park, is college-educated, large number of college-educated folks who may be interested in the resident teacher program, career change, that we should be that could be an opportunity for an educational forum to continue to promote how to become a teacher as a professional. So those are some ideas I'd like to bring forward, and I already have partnerships that I could be part of that process. Thank you.
Wonderful,
Thank you. We're on round 2, and this will go to Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you. I just want to use this round just to just congratulate you on the presentation, and also to just thank Dr. Golson for the work sessions, because these work sessions really separate reality from the myths that are out there, and especially in regards to our retention and our number of teachers that have certifications and things like that. A couple things that I'm walking away with: a new term, Hispanic serving institutions. And so I think that is great to know that there are institutions out there that are serving the Hispanic and Latinx communities that we can go to try to recruit. And then the ESOL certification, that's interesting. So I'm really going to be looking out for those words to come forward in the future. So that I just thank you for bringing that to my attention. Now, when you talk about brand ambassadors, I always, when I'm out there talking to people and I hear people who have this certain myth about Prince George's County, what I usually tell them is if I tell you I have an uncle who's living with his mother and doesn't have a job, you're not going to want to go out and meet that person. But if I say to you, he just came back from Japan because he was a teacher over there and he's looking for a job, so he's staying with his mother, you would be like, wow. It's how you introduce Prince George's County to the world. And when we, brand ambassadors, are out there not giving the full picture and giving people the information that will support them to have the desire to come and be a part of this community, we lose out. And so I agree with you. I've always been a brand ambassador for PGCPS and the 130,000 students that we serve and the 20,000 livelihoods that we're responsible for, because I know what we have done, especially for my son who graduated with 3 certifications out of automotive and who's actually now working to repair police cars in DC. So I know what we can do in Prince George's County. So in order to keep that brand going, I was just thinking about how when I look out at the private institutions and private organizations, when they're out there branding themselves and marketing themselves on their website, on the first page, they share their certifications or their awards and rewards that they have received. And I would love to see on the homepage of our website where we talk about that we're 7th in the nation when it comes to certified teachers, where we talk about receiving awards for our climate action plan, where we talk about the award about our P3 program. To have those things right there on our website, whether it's in the footer or somewhere, just showing people that all of what you might see on the news for people that want to pull us down, that's not the reality. That's just a myth. The reality is we are an amazing organization, not only to work for, but serving students of color and providing our teachers with opportunities to go from teachers to becoming CEO. So I'd love to see that on the homepage. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Williams. Board Member Mickens-Murray.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now, Dr. Baldwin, this is my opportunity to be your cheerleader, because what I witnessed in this room tonight when Board Member Adam Stafford asked you the question about certification and around a different way to credential teachers, I could feel your passion. And I could see that you have an idea. So all we have to do in Prince George's County is prove it. Just prove it. And I think we probably have something in place that can start that. So all I'm saying to you is we need change agents. Some things need to change, and we have some opportunities here. That's all. We have some opportunities. So don't lose sight of your idea. You know, you might be writing a book one day. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Adam Stafford.
Okay, thank you so much. And I want to echo what my colleague, Vice Chair Williams, mentioned. I literally just emailed you a website talking about how that front page of your district website really has to highlight those achievements. You know, if it's a banner, if it's on the side, just talking about the awards that we've won and our rankings nationally. And I've talked about this a lot through academic achievement, but I think that really, you know, even if we were to commission like a white paper that talks about some of the stay factors of why people stay here, particularly for educators of color, talking about the fact that we are using culturally responsive curriculum that we've developed in-house. Like, that's really important. People care about that, especially younger teachers that are, you know, have to have this sort of, you know, emotional connection, you know, the opportunities for students to have just a sense of belonging in talking about their relationships and looking and seeing a teacher that looks like them. Those are some of the core unique qualities that I think, you know, should be in our ads that we're putting out, you know, even in our digital ads that highlight those topics. One thing I was going to mention, you know, do we have affinity groups? I know that we talked about, you know, beginning the Latinx leadership group, but do we have affinity groups throughout the district? And do we have any partnerships with organizations like City Year or Urban Teachers to help us in some of the hiring challenges?
We do have affinity groups. Although we are going to have this year an international network, we also have an international affinity group. We are going to revitalize our Latinx leadership. We actually do partner with Teach for America. Unfortunately, they produced a publication this year that this is the first year that they have had the lowest number of teachers, and so therefore they have put a pause on supplying us with teachers for the 22-23 school year. And that speaks to the national shortage that an entity such as Teach for America does not have enough teachers to supply its partnering districts.
Sharing that, and I'd want to know, you know, if we have partnerships with organizations like City Year or maybe even Urban Teachers, or I know we have a partnership with AmeriCorps, but, you know, also considering how we can leverage some of those other organizations that help students, well, young people that might be lateral entry, you know, because if we could get a City Year program and, you know, our schools that are experiencing a lot of staffing shortages, sometimes that's the spark that gets, and City Year is a program like AmeriCorps that many large school districts use. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think that's it. I just wanted to make one closing comment about recruitment. In last, I think, I won't say how many years, but there's been an influx of teachers and administrators coming from a neighboring jurisdiction. I know because I was one of them. And I would tell people, I died and came to heaven when I joined Prince George's County Public Schools for all the opportunities that were out there. And I was able to recruit my colleagues who had retired or were interested in coming over into the system. So I don't know what it's like now, but the record will show we did come. So with that being said, I thank you all for continuing to be the motivators and getting people into this system. which provide outstanding services to our students. And I'm here to say that I applaud all of the employees, not just the teachers and administrators, but those in the schoolhouses, school buildings, house, I'm going on my age. But anyway, my point is that we have that collaborative going, and we are producing great citizens, as you have seen. So with that, if there are no other questions, I will move to, or comments, I will move to the next area. Thank you so much, Dr. Baldwin. That was an excellent presentation.
Thank you for the opportunity, and make sure you look in your swag boxes. This is what we gave all of our student teachers to ask them to come and join us. So feel free to enjoy your PGCPS socks.
And where did the word swag come from? I mean, why did you use swag? I like that.
That's what it's called. It's called recruitment swag.
Okay, okay. I like that. Again, thank you. Moving on to 6.0. 5.0. Colleagues, follow-up items from the April 28th, 2022 board meeting are posted on board docs for your review. Now I need a motion to confirm the following actions that were taken in executive session. To receive a report from the CEO, to discuss approved personnel appointments, to receive a report from internal audit, to receive an update on labor negotiations, and to discuss administrative matters. And I'll make this public, which we had committee changes, which included changing the membership of the Ethics Panel Selection Committee to now include our new board members, Z. Miller and Ms. LaSalle Frazier, and Ms. Adam Stafford will leave that committee and continue with the Parent Advisory Council selection process. With that, that concludes, I need a motion to confirm the actions taken in executive session.
Madam Chair, I move to confirm the motions taken in executive session.
It has been moved and second to approve the actions taken in executive session. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? The motion carries to confirm the actions taken in executive session. Now, I left out one item, also to receive legal advice regarding pending appeals and to discuss ethics took place as well. So I hope, is that okay? I left that one out.
I accept your amendment.
Well, we're oh my goodness, we're at the end of our agenda. May I have a motion to adjourn the May 12th, 2022 board work session?
Second.
It has been moved and second to adjourn the May 12th, 2022 board work session. Any discussion? I'd just like to thank Dr. Golson, Dr. Baldwin, and the rest of the team for the presentation tonight. With that, all in favor? Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Have a wonderful evening, weekend, and be safe. To have them